Alright, we're back on this crazy thing here, and if you haven't watched, it'll be 2 videos, description below. This thing is why. I'm not going to be real detailed about what I explained, but it's local machine shop, rebuilt the motor. Truck was running perfect before, put the new motor in, old parts bolted to the motor, and originally people thought it was running rich. Well, I've determined that what I think the valves are staying open, pushing air back in the intake. It's just a catastrophic event that nobody can really explain, but it's fooling the map sensor, throwing it running rich. First video, it wasn't my motor to dig into, so I just threw parts at it. And literally, if it could bolt to the motor, besides I think the wiring harness, that's all I haven't changed, but I don't think it's it. So I take it back to, or they take it back to the machine shop. He tinkers with it, kind of does the same thing that I'm fixing to explain, but never got to a fix. So he seems to think that it's something bolted to the motor, which I don't think it is. We'll see. Anybody could be wrong on this one. So how I got to my conclusion, I accidentally was just tinkering with something and I bumped the exhaust header up here. I noticed number 1 and number 6 is the main ones. Like I said, we'll get technical here in a minute, but I noticed it was cold. I was like, that's not right. So I started doing compression check, noticed it was low, and I said, drug out store, it's easier to watch first videos. But here's where I am with the truck. If everything's torqued down like it's supposed to on the rocker system, it'll miss on 1 and 6, possibly other cylinders that we can't detect. If I put spacers or loosen the rockers, then everything runs good. Like I might crank it up here for just a second. I've got everything spacered up where it's just rattling like crazy, but the truck runs, I'd say 90%, 85%. So after the last video, there was tons of comments, and I tried my best to read every single one of them, and I couldn't comment back to some of y'all, but I appreciate you trying. And a lot of them was shorter push rods. Shorter push rods lowered the deck too much, shaved the head, which we fixed the head in another video. The head was shaved way too much, we fixed that. And then, like I said, shorter rods machine the deck off too much, and both of those I get. But I don't think would fix it, because if I'm using any of the lifter, it just don't work. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm not counting it out, I could be wrong. The only theory that I can't, in my mind, put together is the cam cut wrong. I get it, but I can't, in my head, put it together what that would even do, but I'm not throwing that idea out. So this video, the truck's getting fixed one way or another. I'm sure there's millions of things that I'm supposed to say, talk about, I don't know. I'm just to a point that I want to know something. So my personal theory is the cam bearings were installed wrong. And maybe towards the end of the video we'll get on this, but I think it's putting too much pressure in the lifter area, because number 1 and 6 is the main problem. And what it is, if you crank it up, it seems to be holding the valve open. If you're driving down the road, it seems okay, but like I said, go watch the other videos. I don't want to sit here and explain what I already know. But what it is 1 and 6 are the farthest away. And this is crazy, but if you live like rural areas, the person on the end of a water line, like the dead end, will have the highest water pressure. It's crazy, that's how it works. And I can't prove that theory, that's just my theory. One guy out of all comments on all social media had the one idea that should prove this. Gonna put a leak down test on it. And it's perfect, by the way, we done checked all that. Well, I got to thinking, I'm gonna put a leak down test, and then I'm gonna got a drill to prime motors up. And if I introduce oil pressure and this changes, there's my theory. So it may not be 100% accurate way of testing, but I feel like it should give us something to read off of. I know there's a lot of missing. Watch those other videos. I'm gonna hook all this up. Well, let me crank the truck up. Like I said, basically no lifter is in reach of doing lifter job. I've got them spaced up so much that they can't do their job. They can't push up on there, like the piston inside there. So it's gonna rattle. Like I said, it don't run perfect, but it runs acceptable compared to, I'll probably put it back the way it is and crank it up. Like I said, it's rattling. You can hear it rattling. Running relatively smooth, and usually back there, you'll see it just clouding up smoke. Running pretty good. Starting to miss a little bit, but all the plugs are blacked over, and I mean, why should it run good like that? So let me cut it off. I know that's not right, but it seems to be the best I've had the truck running yet. And that's what, if you watch the first video, I sit there and loosen the rockers. These are non-adjustable, by the way. They're just clamped down. But I sit there and loosen them all by finger, like a finger on a socket. Got the truck running just mint. But there's nothing to hold them there, so they eventually loosen their way up. I'm gonna pull the valve cover off. So, like I said, right now I've got just plain old Jane washers underneath there. Washers. You can see if you had all these in the right spot, every single one of them is completely out of reach of the lifter. So they've all got slack, they're all out of whack, but I was just trying to prove something. What I'm gonna do is go back and take all the washers out. Probably put the original rocker arm on. Like I said, I've changed a lot of stuff on this truck. We'll get that, and then we'll fire it up, see how it runs like that, and then get on to my theory. I hope. Could be wrong. So I took all these washers out from under there. They're just washers from my bolt bin. Listen now. I don't really know what that proves, but that just shows you lifters were out of reach. Now they're trying to sink back down home. So, like I said, I think that's basically the same principle as a shorter push rod, but that wouldn't fix the problem. That would just make it run better. So, gotta let them settle in. If you didn't know last time, I put brand new lifters in there. Same exact thing. That's what's so wild about this thing. Literally, besides changing the rocker height on there, the other head was 70 thousandths thinner. So we've raised that. Everything I've done has made literally no difference except raising them up and canceling the lifter out. Ready? One of them's ready. Whoever called that, I think you may be onto something, which this engine's a lot colder than the first test, but just spinning over like that right there, it's at like 60 PSI. I don't think that's right at all. Yeah, I don't want to go through trouble changing the gauges. You do have to trust me on that one, but give it time, we'll see what it does. All right, I believe it's been plenty long enough. I've been spinning it over, kind of listening to it. So this is just the way it was. Or should be. 65 PSI, if anybody's wondering. I ain't gonna let it run long. Well, you can hear that. They don't like running at all. It's very hard for y'all to see, but it's starting to black haze. I mean, just look at that stuff right in there. Maybe you can see it. That's all I changed, and it started hazing like a lot. I gotta get that cut off before I smoke my shop out. You can hear it. It's just terribly confused on what to do. Sounds like it's gonna get right, but it never does. So all I did is put the rockers back the way they're supposed to. I know y'all can't see, literally all that over there is covered in just black smoke. So it looks like it's running rich. I mean, that's black smoking, but I don't think that the motor is actually running rich. I think something's fooling something to say there's more air here than we realize. Let's throw fuel. You know, this is very old school technology. So let me get this out and show you a compression test, and then we'll see if, please, I've just been running 2 bolts. And while you're listening, the reason I'm pretty confident what it is when I put brand new lifters in, I put them in dry, no oil, and it's like 150 PSI, where as soon as they got oil to them, it dropped down to like 90. So it's a crazy thing. I've talked to a lot of people. Nobody seems to have the perfect answer, but I'm going to come up with it. Get this off. So somebody said that I needed a new gauge. Well, I went and bought a new gauge. So I got that took care of. And since the last video, I got a camera. So hopefully y'all can read numbers now. Yes, it's Pittsburgh. That's how I make a living. Don't have to charge $200 an hour to pay for Snap-on. So I don't have the plug out, but when I get it out, it's gonna be, I would just call it wet. It's like unburnt fuel. It's Still don't like focusing, but you can see it's just wet, unburnt fuel. Alrighty, so new gauge. I'll go ahead and explain what it's going to do. First bump will probably, well, this hose is longer. First bump's probably going to be in the 120 area, and then as soon as it gets oil pressure, it's probably going to drop down to 95, give or take. I'll hold it as close as I can. So let's see. First bump. And then, well, I'm going to explain before I go. It's going to go up, and it's going to fall back down to 90. And all I'm going to do is loosen the rocker arms, get rid of the reach of the lifter. You know, be like a flat tap it, and then it'll fix it. It didn't make it a 90, did it? No. Alright, so new gauge shows about 80. Get it. So now all I'm going to do is just loosen the rocker, kind of get out of reach of the lifter, like I say. Think I got them enough. We'll see. Well, went up more for sure. I think I got to go farther. Alright, so I had to loosen them more than I thought, and I think this longer hose probably has different results than the other one, Harbor Freight. Here we go. About 130. So literally 85, 90 psi. Hey, let's just try the other gauge. Alright, this gauge reads higher, so I don't know which one's right. It really doesn't change the story. This hose is shorter, but about 165, 170, give or take. So I'm gonna put, so now I'm gonna spin it over, and I'm gonna tighten it, the rockers, and reset that and see what it goes to. About 165. Probably have to let them reset. I forgot about that. Yep. I may let them reset, but they are snug down. Ugga dogs. They need more time. Alright, so like I said, all I did was tighten the rockers. Gets up to about 95. About 90. Yeah, 90 was our magic number there. So now, let's move on to the leak down test. I got a feeling this is fixing to get interesting. So, well, I turned the camera off, I was playing with leak down test, and it was making a fool out of me. It's like, what's going on? So, I kept trying to find BDC, and it never would find a spot that it would actually make compression to do leak down test. So I kept on spinning, never found a home. I was like, what the heck? I said, I know I was doing leak down with the rocker arms on. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, maybe I was doing them with the rocker arms off and just don't remember. So I kept on loosening the rocker arms. Actually, it was mainly, not reverse, exhaust. And I was like, well, that cancels out my theory about putting air back in the intake. Well, then out of nowhere, the intake, I loosened them up and started getting leak down results. And like you say, or like you can see, it's basically spot on perfect. Like I said, I started loosening them off, and then I was like, well, let's try going back in. So I was just playing with it, and nothing was making sense. It's like, I know I did this on video with the rocker arm torqued down. So I went ahead and took everything apart, got oil pressure gauge in, and got my oil driver in. I have not touched it. There's no drill down there. And I was like, I was getting ready to turn the video back on, plugged it in. What do you know? Rocker arms are smacked down tight. Now the leak down's perfect. That's got to put the two together. That's still kind of odd on the lifter why it's not returning oil back, but I feel like we're fixing to see something crazy here. Let me get a drill. I didn't know I could do it this way. I'm gonna struggle if this don't work out to make myself not look like a retard, but it is what it is. That's what I was sitting there thinking. I was like, I've taught myself everything I know. Like when I was a kid, my dad paid me my dad bet me $50 I couldn't do a head gasket on like a, I don't know, a 3800 V6 car, belt, timing belt and all that. I did it. Okay, so now this is oil pressure. I know y'all probably can't read it. Maybe you can just see where it's at. And this is leak down. I hate to move y'all any closer. So BDC on number 1, rocker arms are tight. I'm so curious. I was trying to think of something else I was going to explain. I was trying to use earlier what I was doing to go against shorter push rods or deck down too low, but it all revolves around riding on the tip of the lifter. Let's just see what happens. I'm gonna go slow. So far, nothing. So 75 psi oil pressure. Did not change the leak down at all. Wow. This thing is got. I gotta do some thinking. I've literally stood right here in this same position for like 15-20 minutes. I'm not ruling out my theory that I started with, but I don't think that's gonna fix it at this point. But it just don't make sense. This is the one thing that I'm struggling with now. Lifters are brand new, so they shouldn't be gummed up. So I've loosened the rocker's arm. Now if you'll tighten it, it takes a really long time for the lifter to resettle or whatever. And that's what I know people still hollering block shaved or head shaved or push rod. The only way it works right is when the lifter is at the top. Like, it's so hard to explain on video. I know it. See it coming back? I don't really have any relevance to the way it's running. I showed you at the start of the video. It was running perfect. Running good. But all the lifters were basically canceled out. I'm gonna sleep on it. And I got to thinking, this is pushing over 7 days of labor I got in this truck. If you do 8 hours, 48 hours, I don't even charge $100 an hour, but that's like $5,000 of labor that I won't recover. I've charged the guy $200 so far. But what I was gonna say is it takes me a good day to swap a motor. So all this time I've spent, I could already had this on my test stand, and basically anything electronic that it could be will be canceled out. It'll be all my test stand, all my electronics, all my fuel injectors, just be a long block, and that'll be the most definite answer that it's internal that I can get. Not saying I'm losing faith in myself, but my gosh, I've racked and racked my brain. It's something that I've never been inside motors that much. I mean, I can rebuild one, but as far as specs and tolerances, I don't do that. So I admit it's over my head, but I'm bound and determined I'm going to figure this thing out. We'll see in the morning. I didn't find an answer. I just sit here and stared at this thing for another 20 minutes. But I found something I don't like. This is locally rebuilt by Machine Shop, and that's a barcode. I don't foresee a barcode making it through any sort of block washer or anything like a honing machine. That's got me thinking the block come from Mexico. I don't know. I'm gonna pull the motor in the morning. It's gonna happen. All right, I was thinking on it, and I'm talking to my brother, and just back and forth, dreaming. And I think we got something very surprising, interesting, but I'm not gonna say it. And if it actually is towards the end of the video, I'm gonna add some scenes right here just to let you in on what we're thinking. Should be good. I hope. Gosh, I hope. So I gotta get this motor out. Don't think there's much left to say. We'll get the motor out. And it's so crazy. It sucks. It's December 19th, so it's nearly Christmas. I gotta get this done. Well, I got the motor out. This is a lot of work. I should have done this in the first place, because like I said, that literally took me an hour and a half maybe obviously gonna take longer to go back in. Obviously I gotta put it on the stand and run it. But like I said, I'm 50, 60 hours into this job, whereas this is essentially gonna take me about 3 or 4. And the next stuff I say, I'm gonna cut right here because I don't know if I wanna say it now or after the video. So I'm gonna record some stuff, but it's still a mystery. So I don't know what I'm gonna say because I'm still on the fence of where I'm at on this motor. But one, I don't think it has nothing to do with anything. I think this is a long block or whatever. That's been welded up. But the crazy part, look carefully at that freeze plug. If I can get my light. It's had a heat tab on there and they took it off and cleaned it. See how that one is? So I don't quite understand that. Other than that, oh, I got it out. I still think this is my biggest clue what's going on right here. So, like I said, I don't know where I'll be in the video when I add this scene, but curious. So that test stand there can run on a 91 through 95 or a 96 to 01. But luckily this happens to be a Renix, so even better, when this thing gets on that stand, there will literally be no electronics that come from that truck on that stand. And if this don't work out, I may just not even post this video and delete it, move forward in life, and I still don't know what's wrong with the truck. But, God, we gotta be getting on to something. All right, I'm gonna go to work. Oh, I forgot to add, I'll have to change that too, and it'll be on a different distributor, so maybe. I cannot tell y'all how nervous I am right now. Put in so much work to get right here, and that's what's crazy. If it runs right, creates heat right here, then I missed something. That sucks. But if it doesn't run right, then it's in the motor, like I've said pretty much from day one, I do believe. But I've never had a reason to dig into it. Let me grab the camera. First off, it's going to confuse a lot of people, but I've got to thinking the last setup I had is on CoilPak, and the computer could care less what the motor is, or it should run, even with that, if it's a different cam. But, so I just threw a CoilPak, I threw this in there. Let's see, got everything hooked up, got oil pressure. Everything should be the same. We're not running coolant. Shouldn't be running that long. Got a different exhaust manifold or header. I was going to run a manifold, but I didn't know how fast they'd create heat. So different intake, different sensors, different computer. Literally, if it can bolt to the motor, I've changed it. So, hasn't started up. Like I said, I'm not running coolant. This is nervous. I feel like it's like bungee jumping. I can't hit the button. I'm just sitting here thinking of all the variables. Maybe it's not out of gas. Let's do it. Hope it runs. Oh, need a battery. I can't do it. Fighting a little bit of everything right now. If you can see 188, but a middle cylinder is 470. Come on. But a middle cylinder is creeping up on 600 if it'll focus in. Don't know why I won't focus. Don't run good. Okay, so this setup's weird, I know, but it's black smoking. Let me back the camera up. Still ain't got definite answers. Walk right there. So it's definitely still black smoking. I think we're fighting weird variables here. Maybe it needs some heat in the block before it'll start not creating any heat on that. I'm gonna tinker with it just a minute, but I still, like I said, it's still black smoking for no absolute reason, and everything I'm using on that setup just come off another motor. It's in the motor. I know it is. Like I said, this is a short block. This stuff don't matter. I put it on that. Got coil pack. I mean, this is literally 30-year part technology, and different exhaust manifold, different intake manifold, different injectors. Literally any possible thing outside source to affect the way the motor runs, and it's pretty much simple. I was explaining to Justin why I think this is actually producing a little more heat. I know there's not much actual engine temperatures, but I don't know if you can do this on YouTube. I might include Steve Morris and all, but he said old school technology like that, which is freaking, well, it's older than me. It's 34 years old. The ignition system just goes bing, so one little spark. Whereas a coil pack, instead of one just bright spark, it's like a ring. So I think that cylinder is suffering from low compression, but it's having more of a chance to ignite the fuel, is why it's producing a little better heat than it was. Regardless, I'm gonna show him. Literally runs pretty much the same as it did. I'm gonna try a different angle. I'm gonna aim it a little down. Just watch this exhaust. It's rolling coal for no reason. And that literally sounds the way it did in the truck. About 300, about 500. So I know y'all technically can't see like the numbers. Maybe I zoom in. Watch when I turn it off. I mean, it's starting to get up 110, 15, 20 degrees. But watch, it'll fall down, and watch it get to just like 10. Black smoke everywhere. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. That's actually faster than it was, but just...
We've done hundreds of these, and I've never seen that before.
No, I mean, any motor, when you turn it off, is going to fall. I mean, I know it's brand new, but I just don't think it's just there and just creep. So
there's an obstruction somewhere, or the cam bearings are. We're gonna get there. Dex is gonna get there.
yeah.
So you was just doing this to prove point. You had me so confused. You was talking about all of this, and I was like,
I'm gonna get you one more angle so y'all can see the black smoke. My eyes are burning like a monster truck. So that's like I was saying, literally anything that can bolt to that motor to affect the way it runs has been changed to a known good system. That one we didn't know about. This one I know. I've used it literally. I can probably include a video right here where I was running it. Ignition. Just like 2 days ago. So, I'm gonna get this aired out, and tonight we're gonna tear it down, and I may let, if Justin will help me, because I'm not a motor expert, but it's gotta be in the motor.
I'm as curious as he is now.
Oh, I haven't said this. You know who you are, and if you want me to say your name, I will, but I still think you're AI. He commented, he said, I wonder why, he said, why have you not took this motor back to the builder? And I ain't gonna say it now, but at the end of the video, when we're like 100%, yeah, I'll tell like the full story why I'm doing this. All right, I don't think much needs to be said from here. That's what, I'm gonna make it run right on this stand before I go through putting it in that. So all I'm gonna do unbolt the head, pick it up, set it off to the side, cherry picker like I did before. Then obviously we'll take it down farther, but when we get to something that actually means something, we'll be back. And Justin's helped me. Well, y'all survived with my biggest fan back there, won't you?
Oh, yeah.
Recording?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay. So we're to the timing chain, trying to get it applied. Took off.
We have not took this out yet. I told Dex, actually, I don't think I've ever took a camshaft out right side up. They're always upside down. So I'm gonna let him do it.
Did say, what if we don't find what's wrong with it?
We're gonna find something here in just a second.
Come on, man. What's that say?
US?
Yes.
I don't know. Is it unconventional wear I see there?
On the bearing.
On the bearing? Or on the cam itself?
Oh, here we go. I'm not a professional cam de-installer, so it's supposed to be upside down.
Yeah, it's a lot easier upside down.
You even support it, or you just go with it?
You're going. Yeah.
I'm not gonna peek till it's all the way out.
Just kind of lift and spin. Not looking good.
Good or bad?
That one's lined up with a hole,
Yeah, I know, that's what I was scared of.
and we have no way to see the other ones until we get the oil pan off. Look down through there, and they should all line up with that one. What do you see?
The second one's not necessarily lined up, but it's in a better spot, to be honest. So what the heck could be wrong with this thing?
I don't know. Let me look down in there.
All right, just set the camera down.
You want it still recording?
No, I don't reckon. So we're still studying. Got the oil pan off. We're just looking. That's what I was starting to have doubt, and we're just thinking like, there's no reason it shouldn't run proper on that stand right there. So, said I'm personally not that smart on the inside of motors, but there's got to be something we're missing or not found.
The only thing I see, and I don't think it's a problem, is I don't know if you can't see it on camera. Like this oil galley, it starts like way down here, and then as it goes up, it tapers and gets smaller.
See that ridge right there? It's drilled right through there, so it's like a half moon, I guess you'd say.
This one is fine.
It's crazy because this is the problem area right here.
This one's fine. The second, third are, you can't see them, but they're up higher, and it'll still work, but
It's crazy.
I don't see anything I don't see anything wrong enough with the cam bearings that it would cause what I was talking about.
Yeah. Hole goes all the way through. Or that one. Let's see. That's what I did talk to one machine shop that's known good, and he was talking about the lifters. If you could just like hone them down a size, probably fine, but keep on studying. This is frustrating. I swear, I don't even know if this is a word, but I'm so mentally drained. This thing, like all day long, my brain's just thinking. Like I said, I know some people probably think I'm just an idiot. This is legit. So I took the oil pump apart, as you can see. There's nothing. The pressure relief valve floats just like it should. But by now, the oil pump video should be out, and this is the loser from it. Battery died. So this is the loser from it. It was the one I rebuilt and it had the lowest pressure. And I mean, that's my only option I'm left with. I don't think 60 PSI is wrong. I'm not saying it's good. Like I come up with this theory earlier. Oh, you can I don't know if we'll ever be able to get you to see in that hole. Maybe if you see just a little on the left side of the screen there, there's like a little passageway. This is the amount of salt that I'm putting into this. We went and got another cam, and obviously I don't have the other cam out, but its profile was really steep and then just like it looked faster. I'm not a cam expert, so don't correct me, but only thing I can think about is when you could see this right here, it's pumping oil into it, okay? As it pushes up and it gets rid of that and goes up into the hole, then it's carrying whatever oil it had with it on the upstroke. So I don't know, I'm just dreaming wildly, like maybe it's pushing it so fast that it's carrying more oil with it than it intended, and it's just barely overly extended. I don't know, this is freaking wild. I know what's going on, I just have a trouble explaining it. No, that don't even make sense. Has nothing to do with the cam. I need to just delete that scene, but I'll let y'all think. All that matters is we're not even worried about this side of the cam. It's when see right now that'd be, let's see, exhaust. Now we're going to get air, and now we're just going to ride along for a while. So the back side's the only side we're worried about. I don't think there's nothing wrong with the cam, just can't prove it. I'm just gonna quit talking. Like I said, we've pulled main caps off. We've checked, make sure the bearings are good. All the ports are open up. I don't know. In the morning, not gonna film it. I'm putting the head back on, putting it back together, and I'm going to put the crappy oil pump on, see if we can get pressure down. And then at that point, if that don't work, I've got a oil filter relocator kit. I'm gonna make a freaking valve to get rid of oil pressure and see if I can just get it to run right and prove my point. Because it's something to do with the oil pumping up in the lifter, holding the valve open during the compression stroke. I don't know how to explain it. Thank you for your ear. So I said I was gonna put the camera down, but I just wanted to re-explain. Like, everybody keeps screaming the deck height or push rod length or the head, which had already changed. If you hadn't seen another video, we changed a head that was 70 thousandths shaved too much. So we come back and added 70 thousandths, and that's what I'm gonna say. Keep in mind, nothing I've ever did to anything has made any difference. Like, it runs the same. Well, you can loosen the rocker arm. Besides that, changed everything. Change the head 70 thousandths plus, nothing. Change different brand of known good lifters, same thing. And that's what's crazy. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I'm a good drawer, I know. But take, like, this is a lifter, and then it's got like its, I guess you call it its piston. And I would assume you'd want the piston in the middle, because that's just naturally, that's its job, is to take up the slack. So when the head was 70 thousandths lower, that pushed it down here, and it was doing the exact same thing. It runs, but it holds the valve open on compression stroke, which is the back side of the cam. So now we're basically up on the top side of the piston, same thing. And only way I can get it to work is if I take and raise the rocker arm up till that piston is absolutely bottomed out, the same as a flat tappet. So I understand the concept behind deck height and longer push rods, but none of that's really relevant, because all we're worried about is why I can't use the squishy part of the lifter. Like, if it's in the squishy part, no bueno. It's freaking wild. So literally I took an entire day yesterday and just laid the camera down. I was like, I've got to figure this thing out. So studied, I had some friends come over, had my brother, we was looking over stuff, doing measurement. I can talk all day long. We've tried, at this point, you know, I've tried pretty much everything I know. So let me set the camera down. I got some good news, and that's what like, I see people on YouTube using stuff to their leverage to make you watch to the end of the video. I could not tell you and make you wait, but it's just not the way I am. So let me set the camera down. So from day one, this front cylinder, like I said, I've seen problems across the board, but I've only studied on the worst one, just easier that way. But from day one, if oil was in the presence of the motor, 90, 100, that's from day one. So like I kept saying, and it's funny, I'm gonna try to clip in all the scenes of where I kept saying the problem. It's like I called this from the get-go, but there was no way to prove it. And everybody was jumping around talking about this. It's like, it's something to do with the hydraulic lifters. So took it down, we checked mains, checked plastic gauge, we checked cam bearings, their phase, blew through holes. I was to the point I had another set of lifters. I was gonna try them. Just everything you can think about, we tried. And I was to the point that I went and got this oil filter relocator kit I had, and I was gonna put it on there and actually get a valve, and that way I could actually control the pressure and just let it pump back into the motor. Because if you remember, the pressure always cranks up and goes like straight to 65 and just hovers. And I'm gonna try my best. There's like 2 or 3 people that called this, and I'm gonna give y'all credit. Still had to prove it, but I didn't think about it, honestly. So I took it down, and we again found nothing. I mean, we're studying everything, and I already knew about we was gonna do the pressure like I just showed you. And I was like, from my oil pressure video, you seen the one I rebuilt was the worst one. Well, I had it laying over there. I was like, let's just throw it in there and see what happens. I mean, we got nothing to lose at this point. So if you remember, let's see, these are tight. There's no shims, everything's back to spec. And it's actually the same oil that was in the motor. I kept it, I didn't want to change no variables. So it's got oil in it. And like I said, when these are tight, I've never seen it go past like, I know it's never been past 100 for sure. Unless the lifter was dry. Again, oil presence. 150. It's been up and down. I've seen it 160, 170, but you can keep spinning it all day long. Hovers 150. So I'm gonna put it together and crank it just for a split second because I gotta get this thing in the truck. But that's what we was talking about. Number one, these motors are like 170 horsepower. So the tune over there is for 190 horsepower. We got that, and then you've got no load on the motor. So when it's sitting here running, you know, it don't have a torque converter or a flex plate, so there's no weight on the motor. So it's never gonna idle perfect, but I think we're onto something. I think everything's good. I hope. All right, so I ain't gonna run it long. Like I said, I don't want to get everything warm. Maybe it'll crank. Oil jumps up to 60 and then comes back down about 50. So that's spot on. Then it's still a little hesitant to idle, but no black smoke. I know somebody in the video is gonna be like, how did that DA miss that? It's like, I've never seen that before. 20 something years. The one thing that does bug me, and honestly I don't even want to say this because it just sucks, but if this thing comes from a local machine shop, you know, I think it's 1, 2 employees, I think it's just one, like my brother's shop, there is no reason if it went through a cleaning machine that you would have a barcode on it that didn't come off that's been spray painted over. And if you remember, the sloppy mechanic head that we took off the thing had a barcode label on it too. So definitely not good.
That's usually where they put their tag, right there.
Well, it's been spray painted.
Well, it's what, there's usually a metal tag, and I'm assuming that's probably the adhesive that held it on there.
So he may have ordered it and then just claimed it was his head or something.
I don't know.
I've seen a few more sloppy things on this motor. I can't prove that. It's just stuck in my head that, you know, why would my brother, one person machine shop, have barcodes? I don't know if he bought the block and put all the stuff in there. I don't know. It's something that can't be proved. It's just on my brain. Sucks. So at this point, I got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna get in the truck. I'm not even gonna time lapse. So the next time I probably see y'all, maybe we'll be running. I ordered a new O2 sensor, but of course they had to order it, so it'll be cranking on the original O2 sensor. Y'all say a prayer. I cannot tell you how stressed, mental anxiety, I don't know. This thing is, I hope it's fixed. I ain't crunk it up, but I don't know. I'll show you. This is just stressful. Don't be a mechanic, be something else. Went ahead and put a new radiator because the little tweedle valve there was broke off. So they were still using that tank up there, which is the pressure. So if it ever got hot, it would have squirted out here. So different story on that, but I've got that situated. I got to get a overflow tank. Other than that, motor's back in. Put a battery on it. Cross your fingers. Can't say the P word. It's YouTube. Hope. I'm so nervous. If it runs right, please don't leave. I got more to say. Still the same O2 sensor. I did clean it, but I'm waiting on the new one. I don't know if I fixed it. Holy crap, this is unbelievable. This is wild. It's pretty sure it's doing the same thing. About 215 on the front cylinder. Wow. Never had my hopes so high. It makes me think it's gonna get better than it does that. I guess let's check compression before it gets hot. How is this possible? Got number one out. It's the usual soaking wet. Same exact thing. That is absolutely unbelievable. That's what I don't know if I said it before I put the motor back in. They was asking if I was gonna put it in. I said, yeah. I said, there's literally nothing else that I can think of. Unless just some oil passage somewhere stopped up. I ain't checked oil pressure, I just did this, but... Oh, y'all probably can't see the gauge. Now it's 120. I think I'm gonna enjoy Christmas and come back to this. I admit, as an adult, I just want to cry. I don't care to say it. Before I back this thing out, I wanted to say, I don't want to make nobody mad, but this is where I'm going with it. When I had it on the stand, I changed oil pumps. I put the oil pump in. I didn't pre-lube it. So it fired up and had like 0 oil pressure. We kept waiting, and I've got 2 witnesses. While the thing was chattering the valves, nothing in the lifters, it run like a top. Sit there, just purred, just everything was just perfect. So that's why I don't think it's anything to do with deck height or head height or push rod length. I don't think it has anything to do with it. As long as there's oil involved with oil pressure involved with the motor, that's when it don't run right. I may post this video because it's going to be the holidays before I work on it again. I think the lower oil pressure pump, I think it made it better because we're getting better oil pressure or getting better compression. I mean, that's a first, but once again, didn't fix it. It's depressing, man. I forgot I had this set up in the vise. If you can see, I've got like 80 thousandths preload, which is over spec. I know that, but relatively that's about, God, 80 thousandths is not even right there, maybe. And if you can see, there's plenty lifter travel. So I know that's not in spec, but as long as I've been doing this forever, it's never been a factor. So it's just when there's, that's what I was gonna say. I took the motor when it's on the stand and they're full of oil. I took and squished all the oil out like this one right there, crunk it up, or the compression went perfect. So it's something to do with oil and here. I just don't know. I think I'm gonna drive it around and see if I can get some heat in the motor and see if I can actually just get the oil pressure to drop down and see if that makes any difference at all. And like I said, I'm gonna repeat myself because like the whole shorter push rod, It's supposed to be pushed down in that lifter. I know that for a fact. I've been doing this forever. But again, the only way the truck runs perfect is if there's no oil in the lifter, or if I loosen the rocker and get it to where it pushes up to the top of the piston, basically turns into a flat tappet, solid flat tappet, whatever. So there's a reason it's not letting me use the cushion of the hydraulic lifter portion. So we'll go down the road, see what happens. But like, that's how I feel like I know that it's the map sensor getting fooled, is, right here, sitting there confusing everything. But under full load means full map sensor reading, so runs perfect that way. And then it died. No power steering. Nope. No brakes. So after driving down the road, that's the weak oil pump there. You can see it's low oil pressure, which is what I was hoping for. It's obviously not fixed, but I feel like it's about as close as it can be. Back there, no smoke. Still don't run right, I understand that. Let's see what this one, 230. Well, I know that's not right. This thing is unbelievable. At this point, I don't feel like it's gonna be one of them things I find and I'm just like dumbfounded. I don't know. See how it cranks. Let it sit and do a cold start here in a minute. Like I said, it's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. I was supposed to be off, and then Christmas is Sunday, Monday, one of the two. I may tinker with it in the morning. I don't know. This is wild. I had this rinky-dink brainstorm idea just to kind of prove what's going on. Of course, it's not going to run right, but I've got my brake bleeder, and I'm fooling the map sensor. And look at it, it's running good. I mean, it probably could be better, but it's running perfect. I honestly don't know what it's supposed to be at. I had best luck about 17 PSI. But look at it. That's proving my point that it's blowing combustion back into the intake, fooling the map sensor. I just can't get it to quit doing that. You can see it's not running perfect, but there's no black smoke. Usually my whole shop is flooded. So again, it is Friday, December 23rd. I'm so tired of working on this truck, but I couldn't sleep. I've got one more idea, so I'm gonna dig into it. I started editing the video, it's longer than I like. I wonder why. I just about had it with this thing. Let me show you my original, the thing I was dreaming on. I don't think that's it. So I was sitting there dreaming, I said, we're only having trouble on the compression stroke. And I'll try to explain as best I can, but I was like, what if on the smooth side of, they call it the base circle of the cam, the other side that we're not really caring about. So what if somehow it's got like a little bump? So when it's just on that base circle, it just bumps the valves open. I don't know, I was just dreaming. I don't have video, but the way they say they replicate these cams, they put a stock cam in and it feeds off it. And then the grinder over here just replicates it. So I was like, what if, a bug, I don't know, something got in there and I don't know. I'm just tired of thinking. Like, let's just say as it rolls around, it gets rid of exhaust. Now it opens up the intake for intake air. And now it goes down, and this whole smooth side here is the one it makes compression on. It's like, maybe this has like a little ramp in it or something. So I'll show you what I did. Obviously I got to take it apart to figure that out, but I took the dial indicator and mounted it here, put it somewhere on there, and just tried. Not 100% sure, but from whatever I can tell, it's all spot on. So this took legitimately hours. I went and found a bunch of washers, different thicknesses, got dial indicators, and I just did it like an old school small block, I guess you'd say. So it's like the lifters don't exist. I got them between roughly 12 and 16 thousandths clearance. So I mean, it's what I keep saying, and it's like very few people hear me. Like push rod length, deck height, head height, I know that stuff matters, but if I try to use any of what they're calling the preload, the squish of the lifter, if I try to use any of that, it don't work. That's what, before I went to lunch, I just shimmed number one up. As soon as I crunk it up, front exhaust like 800 something degrees. So y'all seen the front always is low temperature, so it's not doing nothing. Got them all shimmed. Let's just see what it does. I got 2 bolts and valve cover. I ain't changed spark plugs. I'm tired of wasting money on spark plugs. Obviously it's running rich, it's turning them black. Let's just see what it does. I'm probably going to go back to there and do this whole thing over because number one was just working and I think the lifter pumped up even farther. I literally just had it showing 800 degrees, now it's like 130. Not smoking. See if number one pumped up. Maybe I didn't do them enough. For this week, I'm done with this truck. I know it said I was gonna get it running in the video. I'm out of time. Front cylinder is working now. I probably gotta shim up like 1 or 2 more. It's running relatively smooth. Not black smoking, so I know I'm on to something. It's just, I'm just tired. This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Basically worked on it from the time I get up to the time I go to bed. I'm just tired. So I don't know if this is the for sure ending of the video, but if it is, thank you and appreciate the help and wish me luck. It's so crazy. It's got the tick, and like I said, when it crunk up, it actually like just smooth purred, and then I think the lifter pumped up. Now it's got like the dead miss, but I don't know how well y'all can hear, but that's nearly perfect. There's a little, I'd call condensation smoke. It's not black smoking. Pretty sure at the tailpipe you can hear it's not a consistent run, and I know y'all can't see, it's actually smoked up the shop here, unburnt fuel. Almost idle's perfect. It's just the fact that I'm masking the problem instead of fixing the problem. So, not done with the truck, but I'm done with this video. Good Lord. I'm just pretending like this week I was in there sick from something. That's just kind of the way I look at things. So, it could always be worse. That could be better.